Hello. If you're watching this video, you may for the first time be realizing what the word crisis really means. You've likely encountered a number of setbacks that have accumulated over time and now seem insurmountable. These may include a lack of finances or family support, or even homesickness. Add to this some difficulty organizing yourself, a party atmosphere, and a couple of very challenging courses. These factors have probably led you to ask, why am I doing this to myself? What is the point? Where am I going? Well, I'm going to do my best to help you answer these profound questions and try to convince you to do what's necessary to overcome the obstacles currently in your path. As you are at a very important crossroads, please turn off your phone, email program, TV, or any other distraction. Why should you listen to me? I spent 30 years working as a clinical psychologist in a mental health clinic. Occasionally, a struggling student was referred to me in the hopes I might revive his or her career. Most of the time, I was successful. Not to make light of your situation, but this cartoon illustrates what normally happens when people set lofty goals for themselves. Unpredictable obstacles can occur that can test a person's psychological, emotional, and physical stamina. Indeed, you may be being tested in all three dimensions at this time, and retreat may seem to be your only option before you collapse entirely. Okay, let's review what led up to this crisis. If you are very bright, you probably sailed through high school without much effort. That's because most of the curriculum was probably designed for students with average intelligence. Compared to many of your peers, you rarely broke a sweat and still did well enough to be accepted into university. This simple graph illustrates how academic stress rises dramatically in the first few years of university. This may be the first time you've ever had to buckle down to keep up with your fellow students, who are bright, articulate, humorous, complex, curious oddballs who seem to ace everything. You may be falling behind, not because you aren't as bright as them, but they know how to organize and apply their intelligence more effectively. Before I review ways you might use to catch up with your fleet-footed peers, let's take a look at the challenge you've taken on and why it's so valuable. To begin with, highly educated people design and build amazing structures to house amazing ideas. The history of the human race has been changed by these scientific discoveries. A university education can lead to the most difficult and hence prestigious careers. Figuratively speaking, a university degree leads to a railroad roundhouse where one has far more life choice options than a single track provides. Less reasonable reasons to quit: homesickness, which is based in anxiety; trouble making friends, which is often related to shyness; academic overload, simply having too many tough courses; difficulty balancing studies with social life; lack of discipline; financial hardship due to an expensive lifestyle. The brain creates the mind, which serves as the mental bridge between ourselves and objective reality. As a result, the brain uses more energy than any other human organ, accounting for up to 20% of the body's total haul. When overloaded, the brain eventually runs out of energy, leading to a condition referred to as mental exhaustion or clinical depression. If you're discouraged and worn out as the result of academic overload and have the following symptoms, at least mention them to your family doctor and see what he or she suggests. You have difficulty falling asleep because worries about your future won't stop swirling around in your mind. You have a hard time getting up in the morning because you're exhausted and aren't looking forward to the day. Your appetite is shot, or you're eating more than usual to comfort and distract yourself. You're tired much of the time and have a hard time concentrating. You're using alcohol and recreational drugs more than you should. Sometimes you feel like ending it all. If you do have many of these symptoms, it will be nearly impossible to compete with your peers who are functioning well, especially in courses that test the limits of your intelligence, such as, say, statistical thermodynamics. If you are suffering from mental exhaustion and can't take a few days off to rest your brain, at least consider obtaining a prescription for antidepressants. Though perhaps not an ideal solution, medications can raise your mood and help you focus while you're sorting out your academic plans. There is no shame in finding your limits, regrouping, and advancing in a more sure-footed manner. View each day as consisting of 3 parts: morning, afternoon, and evening. Take off Friday night, Saturday night, and all of Sunday if possible. You will feel refreshed Monday morning. To avoid distractions, study in a well-lit library carrel with earplugs if necessary. Turn off your phone and email program if using a computer or tablet. Study until your mind wanders. Take a 5-minute break away from the carrel and return. Walking outside is highly recommended. If others tempt you away from your studies, say, I'd love to go with you, but if I'm to pass this year, I really have to buckle down and study. You may pause the video at this point to make notes about the simple time management. It's quite effective. If you've applied the previous suggestions for a few weeks without much progress, it's time to speak to a dean, academic advisor, or counselor. Ask what you can do to preserve your academic career. Though temporarily embarrassing, reducing stress by dropping a course may be the best option. It's better to change direction than quit altogether and have to start from scratch. If you can honestly say that in spite of your best efforts, you simply can't overcome the obstacles that stand between you and completing your degree, there's no reason to dwell on regrets or engage in self-recrimination. You made decisions based on the knowledge you had at the time and eventually found that your expectations simply didn't match reality. This sort of fundamental trial and error is the foundation of wisdom. After a while, you regain your composure, your mood will lift, and you'll feel more hopeful about your future. As you begin making plans again, I would strongly suggest slowly reading Dr. Stephen Reese's excellent book, Who Am I? The 16 Basic Desires that Motivate Our Actions and Define Our Personalities. If you align your newly defined personal goals with a good number of your basic desires, you're much more likely to succeed. I hope this presentation reinvigorates your desire to obtain a higher education. Though not guaranteed, I believe cultivating your intellectual abilities will have a profoundly positive impact on your whole life. Why not give this wonderful opportunity your best shot?